This is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy and the creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Group. And this is season 2 of the Millionaire Car Salesman podcast. And I have a super important VIP guest, my main man, Cory Mosley. So Cory, this is your returning visit to the show. I want to get into a lot of stuff. I want to get into your book, Entrepreneurship Confidential. But before that, give people a little bit of a recap of who you is and why we care.
Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
Hit that Google if they want to know, right?
That's what's up.
That's what they say now. But no, listen, thrilled to be back on the podcast. My roots are in automotive, even though it's not my daily, it's not 100% of my daily life anymore. My roots are in automotive. Started on the showroom floor 20 years ago. Started this company 15 years ago. And really just had the privilege of working with dealers, impacting, salespeople's lives, impacting incomes for dealers, manufacturers, and associations. And, again, always car business is always home. It's always familiar. You can always fill a day with stories and and shooting the SHIT with people about
wait a minute. This is the SVB show, man. This is like Shape 45. They can say shit in the show, man.
I know, but I just don't.
Shape 45 up in his house. All right. So long story short, people, Cory is one of the pioneers in the automotive game and the automotive internet sales, BDC game, everything from working with like large respected dealer groups to manufacturers, vendors, and everything in between. But why I wanted him on the show again is because Cory has broken out of the automotive industry into mainstream society, and this might seem kind of crazy.
I love when people it makes it sound like a jailbreak.
It is
like
though.
I got out of Sing Sing and
San Quentin up in here.
He made it out of the hood, and now he's making good in the streets. Like that's what it's like.
It's like But I was so impressed that you've been on, and it might not be a big deal for you, but for me, I think because I've known you for a long time. This whole Virginia TV morning show. Tell us about this thing.
Listen, I think anybody that wants to be of authority or have thought leadership, we need media, right? Social media has allowed us to do it. The problem a lot of times with social media is anybody can do it. I mean, you can be stone cold dumb and get online and start talking, right? So it's not a qualification. So there are still places where, you kind of have to be vetted a little bit before you get on. So, I mean, TV is one of those areas, network television and things of that nature. So like most people, you want to have maximum authority. So achieving those goals of getting on TV or, everyone wanted to be on Oprah and all those things back in the day. So just in whatever capacity, and we see it as seen on, right, as featured in Forbes, as seen on NBC, CBS, Good Morning America. So I've just been fortunate enough to have had some opportunities, ironically, through relationships, through actually a charitable board that I'm involved with and on. One of the people that's also on the board is in the TV world, is in the CBS affiliate world, and knows what I was doing and thought it would be great to, nothing's magic. I still had to earn it, but to make some introductions.
Man, it's cool as hell.
To make some introductions. And so, for my little 5 minutes, Stop. A month.
He's too humble. I'm not humble. Call me Jerry Maguire for a hot minute. This is you just did it you've already done it 3 times. They asked you back, and each time they're bringing you back, they're giving you more airtime. You were joking around me like they put you at the end at first just in case, yep. And then they're like, "Oh, I
was still talking while the credits had started to roll on the side of the screen while we were still talking." So yes, and then that went to a little more time, and now top of the show, but. It is one of the #1 shows in Virginia for mornings.
What do you talk about on the show?
I try to focus on entrepreneurship related issues. In my heart of hearts, that's what it's always been about. Even the car business may have been the vehicle, but the work that you do with dealers is about assisting small business owners, right? And helping them grow their business. As a byproduct of that, the salespeople that are impacted, BDC managers, BDC reps. There's so many people that are impacted by the world, but it's really all about increasing production, building a better life, having a better life across the spectrum at whatever level that means. At the dealer level, I mean, the dealer has bills like everybody else. I know that we operate in this world where everybody thinks every car dealer is flush with cash and has no worries in life. And, you know, that's not true for many of them. You know, they've got it all on the line. I've worked with dealers that have guarantees with the banks. You know, they're PGing deals. Their cash flow, their inventory is personally guaranteed, connected to their house. Yeah. So they're not, you know, so again, we're all trying to make it out here. So to contribute to that in a way that on this side of the fence, I'm simply just speaking. The way I kind of identify it, we're on a road trip, right? If you take a road trip to New York to California, what I say to a lot of entrepreneurs is, I'm kind of like in North Dakota already, and you're just starting in New York. So really the advantage, it's not about me being better than or smarter than. I started to drive earlier. So now I'm saying back to you, hey, well, when you get to Route 50, make sure you go left instead of right, or hey, they got construction there. I'm just giving some things to say, hey, I went before you on airplanes, right? Every flight, the captains make logs, and they leave the log for the next captain to determine, hey, there was turbulence at this coordinates, or you know, I took off this way, or I landed this way, has advice for the next person. So a lot of what I'm sharing are ideas and strategies that have come from things I've done well at or failed at, right? And then also, I'm a curator of content. I'm an observer of content, where, hey, there's something good, because nobody has time to consume everything, especially in today's world. So if I have the opportunity, you and I will collaborate. And if you think about everything you've got going on, 10 times more stuff going on than I have going on, by the way. If you think about all that, to have that moment where I'm like, hey, have you thought of this? And you're like, no, I never, you know, because you can't consume everything. So if I can come up with a strategy or find a strategy that's working, or I'm using some piece of software or something that's making the customer experience better, or automating a process, and I'm able to share that in a way that's impactful, that's what I'm after.
No, Corey, that makes a lot of sense, you know, and I'm actually, just so you guys know, keeping it 100 with you, I'm actually taking notes down on that, because I want to have some ideas talking about that going through, as far as, you know, experience, but then also aggregating information, because there's so much out there. When you have experience, you could filter out the stuff. It's like reading the crib notes, you know what I mean? It's like it's getting it
right. It's curation. You're curating, right? You're not. I mean, I don't like steal content. You curate content. You know, part of my strategy is, I spend my weekends, where some people may be at the club or other things, I spend my weekends consuming information. So I'm on Apple Plus News. I'm going through Bloomberg. I'm going through Business Insider. I'm looking for trends. I'm looking for things that can impact. My career has been based on this kind of front of the learning curve idea, right? You know, we talk about pioneering stuff and being a pioneer of internet sales, and kind of being in that, you know, group of what I believe to be, you know, 5 or less players, that are still around 15 years. You know, here we are 15 years later. We've talked about some of those people, but not even looking at myself as a pioneer. We were just there, and we just, you know, found some ways to make it work, and are still standing, basically. But, you know, when you think about that, it's kind of how, you know, what impact that you're able to have, what information are you able to share, and, you know, how can you deliver that in a way? So I focus on, you know, consuming information and living at that front of the learning curve, living at the what's next, what's happening. We joke, but we still deal with the same thing. I mean, I still have automotive clients, so we're dealing with some of the issues today in 2020 that we were dealing with in 2005.
Yeah, absolutely.
4 and 5, right?
Yes.
That's what's crazy.
It is absolutely
like answering the phone. Sales, right, and not doing that. Like, come on down. We're still dealing with that.
It blows my mind that I was delivering 100+ units a month at a Pine Belt Nissan Kia Cadillac in 2002, 18 years ago. But yet I got people today, like just before I came up to Virginia to spend the weekend with you guys, and I just closed a deal with a 15 rooftop dealer group that's just trying in 2020 to build their internet the right way. So that's absolutely correct that there's so much that we did back then that are still not getting done now. But that's a good pivot point. So the reason why I'm excited having you on here.
No, hold on. Guy says to me, he goes, oh man, dealers have so many issues. You'll be in business forever. I said, sometimes it makes me think of the NFL. Right, so you can say this guy, played in the NFL. He made millions of dollars in the NFL, as obviously you can do in this business. But he made those millions of dollars, but he's got CTE.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got the money, but now he's just forever brain damaged. And sometimes that idea, yes, of perpetually being in business because there are constant challenges is great. But at some point, how many more conversations do you want to have about answer the phone, respond to the lead? Like, how many more reports do you want to look at that shows we ran the mystery shop program for a manufacturer, the whole manufacturer, all 296 rooftops. Franchises, and 58% of those people didn't even respond to the lead within 24 hours.
Crazy.
Like, how am I having that conversation in this era of time? Like, what do you get a lead and go, you know what? I'm just not going to call it.
Unfortunately.
Like, what in your process is so you go, well, man, that means opportunity. Yeah, but here's the flip side of that. Like, on the manufacturing world, they go, we're tired of looking at this stuff too. We're not going to do this program anymore. We're not even going to bother with it because we can't even help them. Right. Yeah, so it's interesting. But I know I don't want to cut off your thought.
No, you're right, because it's same thing with the virtual training. I don't care if it's Bradley Demand, Mosley 24/7, Cardone Demand, Verdi Demand. One of the biggest challenges is just using the damn system. And then people know, I've had people cancel and say, this is the best shit that I've ever had. It's amazing. But people don't use it.
Right.
I agree with you. So
I had that meeting the other day with somebody. Like, everything that's yellow, I'm showing them the grid. The user, the login, the watchdog, and report. And I'm like, everything in yellow is stuff that hasn't been touched. So I just need to know. And I'm looking at the dealer dead in his face, and I'm not as I probably have a hair more finesse about things than you do, just a hair more. But I'm looking at the dealer and I'm saying, I just need us to decide right now if you're going to have them do this or not. Like, there's no point in me printing this report, me getting upset about it, trying to get you upset about it. If it doesn't matter to you, let's just call a spade a spade. I'll stop running a report. I'll stop putting resources to having, my wife who works in the business. I'll stop having her pull the report and highlight stuff and go through this and do all this work. I'll just cut that time out because I'm paying her for that. So I'll save myself some money. I'll save myself some headache and aggravation, and just look me in my eye and tell me you don't want your people to get any of this information.
And what do they say?
Oh no, we're gonna get right on this. No, let's go page so and so to the office, and and again, so you go on that merry-go-round of. But then here's the conversation: why aren't sales moving in the direction we want? Why closing rates aren't getting better? All of these things. Okay, I'm sorry. How would you expect that to happen if your people are not actually exposing themselves to new information and B, executing on that information? Walk me through that. Is it osmosis? Is it that by sheer fact that the information is within their grasp that they will now get it and now use it? So, that's the challenge. Like, and that's my thing, and you try not to be a smartass about it, but if your way worked, I would not be here.
Right. Absolutely.
And if your people who are so threatened by my existence in your store knew how to do this, they might do that very well, right? Whatever that is. But if they knew how to do this, then I wouldn't be here. It all goes back to that. No dealer arbitrarily wakes up and goes, hey, how can I go spend a ton of money with somebody from the outside to come in and tell me how to do things in my organization? Nobody gets really excited about that. They get excited about the potential of having their problem solved. But no one, I don't think, wakes up and go, how can I spend 50 G's on training and consulting with somebody today? And I think anybody does that. I think they go, I can't believe my managers, I hope that they would know how to do this. But because they don't, I have to bring somebody in. And what does that translate to, right? But that's That's just one of those interesting things about our business. And at the end of the day, everything that we try to do, I don't care whose personality you like or don't like, what flavor. I mean, for years, right? For us, we would talk about Cardone and like Verdi, right? Who basically did the same thing in the essence of training you to be better. Let's just, like, if you peel away all the technique and the onions, the idea was to be better, right? To make more money, to sell more cars, to be better. And you have people who love Grant style and think Joe puts you to sleep. And there's people who love the fundamentals of Joe's approach and think Cardone's too much, right? So you can pick your flavor, but we're all trying to do the same thing. So what blows my mind is the people who fight the idea of making more money, of increasing their production, of being a better manager, of being a better salesperson, of being a better BDC rep, of being a better service manager, whatever it is. It's all everything that I believe most of us do from the positive intention is for everyone to get better. And better usually translates into a better overall lifestyle.
So that's a good segue. So there's so many things that are positive and negative with the dealership. And if you were an employee of the dealership, if you're a salesperson or hell, even a manager, you're at the mercy usually from the GSM, the GM, or the owner, the corporate executive. So one of the things that I found studying like you have, successful professionals, hence the whole concept of millionaire car salesman, are people that are doing stupid numbers like 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 units a month, like the Ali rate is. These people, what I found is they're tired of the bullshit. They said, look, fuck this. I'm not going to let these maniacs ruin my shit. And so what they've done is they've developed a business within the business. So people don't realize this, and I want you to talk about this because your specialty is entrepreneurship. If you look at per unit sold, the salesperson has the highest percentage of that deal, more than the sales managers, more than the GM, more than the dealer principal. True or false?
Yeah, I mean the impact. Certainly the impact of what happens and how it happens is definitely created there.
Okay, but then even let's just say the profitability, what you're making on that car. Okay, the dealer principal is going to make money off of every unit sold. Sure. But as far as who gets the highest compensation on that vehicle after you back out, if you literally look at everything,
fine.
The commissions. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so then like we've heard this, man. I grew up with this, and you've talked to us before. Car sales is like owning your own business.
Correct.
But I don't think these fucking people get it, though. It really is. You're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And there's money to everything. As corny as it sounds, the fucking paper clips, the insurance. I try to get into my employees that you don't understand all the taxes that you pay. If I've got 20 employees, all those taxes, I've got to match that shit. And I tell people that, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, yes. I got to pay all that shit. So,
my favorite is just write it off. You can write this off and write that off. Like, dude, you have to have the money to be in a position to write something off, right? I think, but to your point about the names that we hear, it's a shame that we only hear the same names all the time, number one. But number two, that only works if you're in an environment that will allow for that to work, right? So,
but whose fault is that?
Well,
this ain't prison.
There's people. I mean, there are people who've never worked for anybody else, that they don't know another way. So if they're enslaved to a certain extent, they only know that piece.
It's time to liberate you.
Right? They don't know that there's options. So, but you got to understand, right? For a lot of people, the car business was a resting stop.
They thought so.
I got into car business because I decided I wasn't going to pursue law, and hell, I wasn't even going to pursue college. So that was the default of, I like and this is back when you still had demos. So I like the idea that if I had an 8-car average rolling over a 90-day period, that I was able to drive a demo, a brand new car for 4,000 miles and then get another one. So that was a great idea. So I came into the business at 18. I literally drove a demo to my high school graduation. So the idea that I was 18, 19 years old, driving a brand new vehicle, I was wearing suits every day, like that, all that stuff was interesting to me. So, and I had control. I didn't make a lot of money my first several years in the car business because I had no training.
Right.
It was, gift of gab BS that, he's got the gift of gab. Your personality, like my personality was carrying me, not a strategy of putting a deal together or a road to sale. I just didn't have that infrastructure for ever. I don't think during my time in retail, I never went through a formal training program ever. And I think I had to learn the techniques. I think the first time anybody said anything to me that was organized and made sense was Paul Dexter Rogers. Paul Rogers, he works for SET Toyota now, but Paul Rogers was the Cobalt internet trainer in 98 or whatever it was. Paul Rogers was the man, and he's the only person that ever said anything that was in an organized delivery method.
Mine was a guy, Daniel Casmi, from RBI,
Yep.
from Auto Vital. Yes.
So that was like that was the only person. So you go through that situation, and our business is treated so transient, right? Oh, mortgages are hot. I'm going to quit the car business. I'm going to go do mortgages. Oh, real estate's hot. I'm going to quit the car business and go do that. And then that tanks, right? Everybody left, and then everybody came back. So it's this idea, hey, I want to be a police officer. But, the academy list is like 2 years out. So I'm going to go work in a BDC until I get the phone call. I mean, these are like real scenarios. I'm thinking of people who are like, who I talked to, about their performance. And like, well, Corey, I'm really trying to join the police academy, but I needed something to do until that works itself out. I'm on the list to get in the post office. Right. Like, these are legitimate, all these reasons. I need to quit cash. These are all like, you don't have, unless you're in Northwood University or something right now, most people are not sitting in high school or getting ready to finish college going, all right, man, as soon as I get out of here, can't wait to get to that car dealership. Right. So if you sit down and you get a bunch of car guys together and you look at origin stories, it's so vast at how we ended up here. So when you have that also means you have this whole cornucopia of sorts it's like the United Colors of Benetton in terms of the variety of people that you have, why we're in, what we're in for, what we're trying to get out of it. And that's what creates this wild, wild west that is the car business.
Which brings me back to why I wanted you back on the show for season 2, is that what you specialize in is how entrepreneurs could start their business. So let's go into this. If an automotive professional, let's just use Tiana, okay? Because you're like uncle, Corey to her, you know what I'm saying? Like, she wants to build this business, and she's at a great dealership, but let's just say she wasn't. Let's say she was in an average dealership or less than average dealership, and, she's struggling. There's not a lot. And first of all, she's working at a tier 2 product, man. She works for Buick GMC.
Right.
It's not like a Toyota dealership where they're lining up.
That's not a Buick.
Yeah, there you go.
Dun, 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 dun,
so,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, what can Tiana do, or what can any other automotive professional do to start building their own business? Okay.
Well, it's a step one. You got to think of it like a business.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Right? No, that's point. That's not. There's no follow up to that. You have to think of it like a business, right? When you wake up, I'm going into work. I need to think of it like I'm running my own business, not just intellectually, but by the actions that I'm taking, right? Like how I'm organized, how I am approaching my day. Am I just going through my day, waiting for the up bus as we talk about, or do I have a systematic approach to what I'm trying to accomplish? I mean, you can't. So what's interesting about the auto world as a whatever you want to plug in, consultant, trainer, strategist, whatever words we like to use for ourselves, we've done the job. So you can't fake the funk with, like, you can't. I know what it's like to roll in at 9:05, figure out who's going to get breakfast, who's getting my Taylor ham and cheese sandwich, who's buying and who's flying, right? I know what it's like to wait for I'm dating myself a little bit, for the lunch facts to come over to see what the specials are, right? Who's getting the chicken parm today? Like, and we're Jersey guys, so that's definitely a reality there. Maybe if you're in LA, it's who's getting the quinoa bowl, but I know what that's like to, really shoot the stuff. Shoot the bull for a few hours, seeing if an up trickles in until somebody walks around like, hey guys, we need to get on why aren't you guys on the phones? Oh, okay, let me go get on the phones. Like, that's not having care about my business, right? Having us knowing that I'm doing I'm going to do my follow up from 9 to 11, and from 11 to 1, I'm going to be in the service drive from 1, I'm looking for ups. Do I have leads? Again, everybody's infrastructure is different in their store, but what is that mindset, of of accomplishment to where you leave feeling like something has happened, whether you have deals in the pipeline or you've closed deals or you're delivering vehicles or you're, in a BDC, your appointments, your calls, having a sense of mind to have pride about your activities, not getting through your activities to keep your job.
Right.
Completely different, right?
Now, building on that, though, what I found because of the whole Franklin Coveyism and with Karen being who she is with time maximization, she's a beast, is that I find that exactly what you said, some of it is mindset, but brother, on the other side of it, I think, I don't know if I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass, is maybe half of those people, it's not the mindset or the desire. They just lack the fucking skills for time management, time maximization. Covey calls it the time matrix, where you have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. You've heard all this shit before. And I think that a lot of the drama that happens while they're wasting time here is because they don't know how to respect and manage their time. Especially when they're stuck doing a bell to bell, it blows my mind, dude, that you're spending 12 hours, sometimes 16 hours in a dealership, and you don't sell a car in 12 to 16 hours. You don't generate a prospect. Yes, some of it is that I just don't give a fuck, or some of it is laziness, but some of it is the lack of training and understanding that time maximization is a thing.
But this is my point about thinking, this is why I go back to it its bare essence, think about it like a business. If I don't think training or develop, if I'm sitting around saying, you know what, man, there's got to be something I could be doing to sell more cars and I don't know, a business owner is out to solve his problems, right? He's looking for ways to solve his problems.
Stop that.
Right?
So rewind that. That's some hot shit right there. You're right. That's a very good point. One of the traits of an entrepreneur is not like, oh, well, I guess that's the way it is. No, we're trying to figure shit
and
out.
But that's what many people in the car business do. It's like, listen, we've been doing workshops for 15 years, right? Online Sales X Workshop, IS20G, these different things. And how many conversations have you had with people where it was like, Corey, I'd love to come to your workshop, but my dealer won't pay.
Right.
Okay, so you say stupid.
Exactly.
Right? Now, if we worked for Remax or Coldwell Banker or these things, I'm starting to speak at these conferences with real estate agents and doing work in that space. And that's all self-education. So we're giving you infrastructure. We're giving you our umbrella to work under and our processes and our access to brokers and your ability to MLS and all the stuff that racket provides, right? Everybody's a racket. Car business is a racket. It's just what kind of racket you're in. And it's the same thing, right? Here's the inventory. Here's the building. Here's the forms that we use to facilitate your ability to earn a living. So we just don't have that mindset. There should be 1,000 people at an IS20G. We should be sold out. I should have 3 ballrooms when I do an event. Not because I'm so great, but because it's all information that people need.
Yes.
Like no one is ever. There's a couple of different phases of taking on information, right? There's DK, deficiency of knowledge. So I didn't know that until this person told it to me, right? Then there's this idea that I have knowledge. I know, oh, Corey, yeah, I've heard that before. Then my follow-up is, how good are you at executing? Oh, I've heard that word track before. Do you use it? Oh, well, no, I don't really, I should use it more. I should do that, right? So that's a completely different scenario that you're talking about. It's not just getting the information. So when you're in that situation where you need to take on more information, what do you do to go seek it? And that's so do you default to talking about what happened in the UFC fight, or what trade or what coach got fired in the NFL and where he should be? Is that your conversation for the next hour because you're quote unquote waiting for something to happen? Then it's, oh, the dealer's not doing enough advertising. Oh man, why are we off the radio? Oh, those internet leads. Oh, those aren't any good. We need to get some better sources. Because it's this mentality that everybody should be coming in with a retail order in their hand.
Do you know the whole 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, like that book is just, it really impacted my life so much. The very first habit Dr. Covey talks about is the proactive mindset. How are you going to get through the rest of the habits, which build onto each other, if the very, very first thing that you need to develop is not be reactive, but be proactive, take initiative and make shit happen?
Like, you're a big Covey guy. I'm a big Jim Rohn guy, right? Mm-hmm. Jim Rohn says, what is easy to do is also easy not to do. And it really is that simple.
I like
right?
that.
So, I'm in this workout phase where I'm trying to, again, I'm not live streaming every 5 minutes every time I'm on my Peloton, right? But I'm in this, and I'm not just saying that to you, and some people need to do that for external motivation. But
by the way, we gotta interrupt this podcast to just let you know that you don't even know what I had to do to beg, plead to get this interview, because we're on vacation, chill, family mode, friend mode right now. So kicking and screaming, he's doing his podcast.
Whatever.
Anyway, let's go back.
Whatever. Anyway, so it's super easy for me to get up, walk 3 steps, and get on that treadmill and do a workout, right? And it's super easy for me to go, not today. Right? It's just as easy for me to do both things, because most people will tell you when it comes to working out, starting the workout is the hardest. Most people, you're 10 minutes into a workout or 20 minutes in, you're like feeling good, all the chemical stuff is going on, and most of the time when people finish a workout, they're like, I'm glad I did it. So it wasn't once you got going, it was making that decision to do or not to do, right? Like Yoda, no try, right?
Right.
So I think that is, one of those interesting things. And it's all about what your drivers are, right? No one wants to look back and think about, like regret is such a devastating,
it is,
a devastating thing, right? Regret is just a tough thing, and procrastination, leads to regret. Just wishing that you had done something. Because time is truly moving by so fast now.
Regardless of what you're doing.
By.
So let's get into, speaking of time, because we're halfway through this episode, I want to hit the audience with some tangible action items. So we talked about just before about you getting this amazing opportunity to be on freaking TV, on the Virginia morning show, which is a really popular show. And you had said that it came because of networking. Ali Reda talks about it. We mentioned him because the dude averages 130 cars a month on the show and floor. That being enveloped in the community, and if you want the community to support you, he really believes that you got to support the community.
You know how many people that I get Facebook requests me, and I go look at their profile, and I have no idea what they do?
Talk about that, brother.
I talk about it. I think it's insane. If you don't have any pride of action, if you're in a business that requires people to take action and do business with you, how do you not? Now, do you need to be online telling people what you have for breakfast, what gas station you are at, when you're at the Wawa? No, right? You can have your own approach to that. But something as simple as what you do. I look across a room of salespeople and say, how many people are on LinkedIn? Almost 20% of the room only puts their hands up.
Right.
So that means 80% of the room are not on LinkedIn, the largest networking and referral source in the global world right now, right? You're not even on there, let alone getting referrals or getting recommendations from people who can then see that and know. Like, nobody wants to be the authority. The reason why we talk, and I don't even know Allie, but the reason why we talk about the same people forever is because it's this small percentage. There's no traffic on the extra mile.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
There's no traffic on the extra mile.
Right.
So the reason why these people, these outlets, it's the same thing in the dealer community. Everybody wants to talk about what Brian Benstock is doing, right? How he's an innovator and he's doing this, and all those things are true. But dude, there's 14,000 dealerships.
Right.
So why is it the same handful of people that are the innovators in the business? That's insane to me.
So let's go back to the tangible stuff. So being involved in the community, whether that's physically going to these meetings, the Chamber of Commerce.
Everybody needs to know what you do. If you're not proud of it,
give us some places. So
let's
let's just say again, like if I was asking you, Corey, Uncle Corey, help Tiana out, what would you recommend?
Well, so here's my view is a little contrarian. I think you need to. I think this isn't about go join the Rotary Club. Like, you're not going to get that from me. I'm not going to give that advice. What I'm going to say is you need to be pursuing the things that are in alignment with your personality. I hate networking. Mm-hmm. In terms of going to like a networking event.
I love that shit. That's
100% drives me insane. Oh, here's what's your category? And if you've ever been to a real networking event where it's organized, you have to do stuff.
Right.
Like, okay, well, if you're in this kind of business, your badge is blue. If you're in tech, it's orange. If you're in this, it's green. So you have to put your badge, the right color code of what sector you're in, and write this out and wear these dots and all these things you have to do. Hate it. And you got to sit there half nursing a vodka cranberry, right? Or you know, if you're clean and sober or whatever it is, then you're just cranberry, right? You got to sit there nursing that, having bad chips and salsa, and go through so what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. Dude, I absolutely hate that. So instead, now, here's what's interesting. Here's my view is a little contrarian. There are people will say, well, no, man, definitely you have to do that kind of networking. So go online, go on YouTube, go buy a book. I remember I bought Susan Rowan, I think is her name. She wrote the book called How to Work a Room. And I remember there was still a cassette tape. So again, I'm still in my 30s, by the way, people. But I was very early to the game. But anyway, I remember buying that book. And I remember trying to force myself to have behavior that was not natural to me. As extroverted as I am, I'm also very introverted. So I am Comedy Central to the people that I have relationships with. But if I do not know you, you're not going to get that version of me.
Right.
So my point being, I'm not going to be like, hey, go join Knights of Columbus. Go join the.
Wait, what's Knights of Columbus? That's
no, that's not like Klan.
No. Like, what?
No, it's not supposed
We're in
to
Virginia.
be. No, I know a Spanish guy that's a member of Knights of Columbus. I've gone to birthday parties for his daughter. But I'm not going to be like, oh, go join the Rotary, go join BNI, go join LaTip, go join these organizations. If that's not natural, like
right.
if you're naturally. If being around people and doing that kind of stuff for you, yes, go maximize that. Now, if you're not, get on LinkedIn and start building connections and start connecting with people through there. Make sure people know what you go. If I work for BMW, then you know what? By default, I want to start connecting with C-suite people who, from a financial end, are my potential customers. I want to build a list of 100 companies that are in the area, 25 companies that are local to me, where I can go introduce myself to where do they meet? What do they do? Where can I go ingratiate myself? There's so many different places to network. But step one, if I do have a social media presence, everybody should know what I do. And that's super simple. You don't have to be Corey your car guy. You don't have to do that.
Right.
But dude, if I look at your profile, I should know you're a sales and leasing advisor at BMW of Richmond, right? I should know that at its basic level. If I'm on LinkedIn, if I'm on Facebook, if wherever I am, so that I actually can start some connection with you or start to think about you in that way. Put myself in the forums, right? If I'm in BMW, why am I not a member of the car club? Why am I not going to the meetings that they have every month? If you like that face-to-face thing. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a big BMW guy. A lot of people know. So I joined that and I went to a meeting. I'm like, oh, let me go hang out with BMW. That just didn't work for me, dude, because they're like next level.
Right.
Like if for BMW people out there, they talk about the car by the model number from the production.
I didn't know.
Like, oh, what do you drive? I'm like, oh, I have an X5. Oh, you got an E60, huh? I got an E45. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, right.
That's the production number. So my advice, let me get back, is you need to look at things first that are that naturally connect with you, right? So, like, if doing videos is natural for you and you like to do it, then start putting out video content.
Right.
Start recording walkarounds. Start, doing tech explanations. Start doing, a Accord versus the Camry. Start doing that and put it out. And I don't have to tell you, about obviously the power of video, but from the standpoint of when I go back to my core tenet, right? Start thinking about it like a business. So if you look about a core principle of business, it's marketing, right? So not being responsible. If I'm a Subway will support me to a certain level, right? Mm-hmm. Hopefully they won't hire any more pedophiles to push sandwiches, but Subway will support me at a certain level. But then within the community, I need to make my Subway in my community work. Right? So I need to look at what I can do. Is there a charity affiliation? What things can I participate in? This is a crazy thing for me with car dealers too. It's like if I was a car dealer, I would own my town.
Absolutely.
And so, dude, I've been in a meeting I've been in a meeting, Lord, as I sit right here, where the statement was, we're not doing shit for the community. Yeah, you got one curse word from me.
There you go.
We're not doing shit for the community. And by the way, let's spend $50,000 on the Yes Network over here, or Telemundo, or let's get our radio by. But help kids, help the whatever. I just don't understand that model where that costs less. I mean, to me, that costs less to run a valet stand at the mall for a weekend and complimentary park. I'm a Lexus dealer, and complimentary park every Lexus on behalf of the Lexus store, or every BMW on behalf of the Lexus store, or every Audi on behalf of the Lexus store. Like, the cost to do that is so nominal in the grand scheme of things, to have that touch point, to have people talking about for the next weekend, they had valet at the mall, and is that the Lexus dealer actually paid for me to park? My Mercedes dealer has never done anything like that for me. Right? To start that process in a customer's mind, it goes so much further than what your pay-per-click ad was on search terms. Right? So that, to me...
So let's talk about that, because I've never done that before. How would that work?
What?
So would, like, the valet service, so let's just say that we have ABC BMW, right? Would they only park other BMWs or any car?
Well, like, you would go to, so like, we have a lot of valet stuff here because parking's tough. So a lot of restaurants and stuff do valet. So if I just went to valet company, Valet Rama USA, who runs the stand, and I said, listen, you're going to direct bill me for any Mercedes, Lexus, or whatever. I want you to you're going to use these tickets. Kind of like when you check into a Marriott.
Right.
If you're elite, you get the
right.
I mean, it still just opens the damn door,
right,
dude.
right.
Like, but there's a whole your Bonvoy thing, and you get that card, the black Bonvoy card or whatever. It's the same thing. So if I just said that, and now a guy thinks here he is getting ready to pay us $7. Oh no, sir, this was paid for courtesy of Lexus of Richmond.
Wow,
here's a thank you, right? Or if I went to the carpool. And I said every BMW, again, every Toyota, I'm a Toyota dealer. Every Toyota dealer that comes through here for Saturday, I'm paying for it.
That's
so
strong.
You just bill me, and then you hand, when the guy goes to pay. So, oh no, you're driving a Toyota? Yeah. Oh, well, McGeorge Toyota, that's a Toyota dealer here. McGeorge Toyota is taking care of your car wash today.
And you've had dealers do this?
I've had some dealers do it, yeah.
Smart ones, and it worked out really well, successful?
Listen, how do you measure that?
True. Okay.
Right? Did 20 people come in and go? So, right, marketing has two purposes, right? There's high funnel, there's low funnel, right? I'm trying to build brand value because I'm in it for the long haul, right? Most car dealers aren't in and out in 18 months, right? They're generational. So I'm here for the long haul. I want to own a town.
Right.
Great. Anybody ever has the opportunity to go to High Point, North Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
High Point, North Carolina.
Right.
Anybody has a chance to go to High Point, North Carolina, you will know without one unequivocal thought who owns that town. And High Point University owns that town.
Really?
If you go to the Sonic and get a slushie, you're going to roll up to the window. Sonic loves High Point University. If you go to check in at the Marriott, there's a big ass banner that comes down that's waving in front of the hotel that says, "This Marriott, we love High Point University." If you go bowling, he owns the town. And he does it so well, he's got people hundreds of miles away, like me. And I haven't, the last time I was there was when we did a program that was 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. He has people like me 6 years later, bulldogging people's children, which I have done, forcing their parents who I know to take their children there, to tour it. You got to see this place, you got to see this place. 6 years later, I'm doing that. I have a friend right now whose kid went and toured it and put in admission, and they've accepted him, like bulldogging.
And why? Why do you feel compelled to do that? What's so special about the place?
Oh man, it's just awesome.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. You need to go.
Right. Well,
You need to take a little Sean for a pre-visit, but he runs it like a business, not like a college. I
love it.
And that's why. From the moment you come in, how it's organized, how they follow up with you, the follow-up stuff you get, CDs from the DVD, CDs from the orchestra class, mailers. There's a phone room, there's a marketing team. They run it like a business because that's where the president comes from. He's on the board of BB&T, Dr. Nito Quabain, who's probably one of the most prolific people in the NSA. Also, has been running. He's raised almost $900 million since he's been the president there in 10 years.
Oh my God.
It's unheard of what he's done.
Oh my God.
Unheard of what he's done. He owns half the town. But my point is, he realized he realized the power of word of mouth, right? I'm sure his marketing budget's huge, but so are car dealers. So and there's things at the individual level that you could be doing.
Yes.
Why is it, let me ask you a question. Why is it real estate agents ride around with magnets on their car with their face on it and their contact information about buying a house, and Allison Davis, I think I'm saying her name right, is a salesperson at Leaf Honda. Shout out to you. I think she's a member. Pretty sure she is. Shout out to you. Who had a whole thing drawn up with her face on the character and had it put on the back of her Honda Accord with her face and her contact information. And Allison sells cars at Leaf. Why is that so odd?
Right.
Completely. If you see no one sees a real estate agent's car and goes, "Why did she put that on her car?" Right? Because it's complete. I'm White Good Realtors. Call Kathy. It's right there. Us. She's the only person, one of the only, I can count in my mind 2 or 3 people that I've ever seen merchandise their car in a way to tell people what they do and have that conversation and meet. Now, that's a couple reasons, right?
Why?
Shame.
Ooh, yes.
Shame.
Yes.
You don't really want to be selling cars.
Right.
Right? So
embarrassed that you're a car salesman.
Let me ask you a question. Is every lawyer an ambulance chasing lawyer?
Nope.
Right? I mean, you know what I mean? So every industry has problems.
Yeah, Catholic priest, police,
right. Is every cop bad?
Exactly.
Right?
Every priest.
Right.
Bad,
but
no.
yet do you know that, yet have you heard of cops that do, I could never be a cop. I'm too abusive power-ish, right? I'm that guy that would use my badge everywhere, dude. I'd be everywhere. So I understand it. I wouldn't wait in line at the 7-Eleven.
Right.
If there was more than 2 people there, sir, excuse me, police business. I put and get my gum. I gotta get this Orbit's gum. I got somewhere to be, right? My siren would be on everywhere. I'd drive 100 miles an hour everywhere. I'd be drunk on power. So I know myself well enough to not put myself in that position, right? But oh my gosh. But it's true. So shame though, you don't want to tell, it's a secret,
right?
Oh well, yeah, I'm selling cars. Well, I'm over here right now,
right?
Really trying to get into the Air Force. They're not, or so and so's not hiring right now. There's no job. I went to school for engineering, but I can't get a job over there now. So in the meantime, I'm slanging Toyotas over here, right? So it's that shame aspect of it, whether people will admit it or not, where you don't want to tell people. What you do. You don't want them to know. You're not really, it's not a career. You haven't used the word career. Forget business owner,
right,
or I'm an entrepreneur in this space. You're not even using the word career from being from a car business standpoint. And that, again, another thing that's problematic is taking that approach to making it a career.
Okay, so let's just say these are great ideas. We're going to transition now to the final section, is money. Okay, again, there's so much money that can be made, and even if you're not an Ali Reda, you catch a couple of good deals, you have a good sales manager hooks the trade, you got a $3,000 commission that's coming in next week. There is a lot of misuse of money for people, especially people that never had money.
Right.
People that made, like my daughter, she was in college. We joke around and call her SpongeBob because she was a fry cook while she's going to college full time.
Right.
Made $800, and then all of a sudden she's making like $7,500 in a month, being 19, 20 years old. Right. So, I mean, Corey, now, you've always, since I've known you for like a decade and a half, you've always been fiscally, knowledgeable, happy. You at least have that perception that you know what you're doing with fucking money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And some things you know a lot more than me with investments.
Not sure responsible, but yes, I've made a few dollars.
Okay, right. So. But because you're also still in your 30s, but pushing that 40 number, you got experience.
Easy.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What advice do you have to people in the industry that get this check?
So I'm going to tell you that's funny, because I feel funny about these type of questions. Let me tell you why. Because I think there's a degree of hypocrisy to it. And here's what I mean by that. Someone goes out and says, you know what? Yeah, listen, dude, I don't want you to be like me. I used to do a lot of cocaine. Cocaine's really bad. I had a lot of good times on cocaine, but it's bad for you, right? And now I've given myself to Jesus, right? And now Jesus is the way. The problem is the hypocrisy in that is, well, you got to have all the fun on the cocaine. And now you're telling me, so like as I sit here, right, my obvious answer is don't buy into the excess, right? You come in the car business, oh man, I got to get my Rolex as fast as possible. I need to be rocking that Breitling or whatever, whatever the car, the Rolex is the official watch of the car business. But I gotta get that, or I gotta whip up. Or, I have to, I need to be rocking Ferragamo, right? Everybody's got their Gancini belt, and that's like the official belt of the car business, Ferragamo. So it's that mentality. It's like, that's my knee-jerk thing. Like, do not fall into that trap. Now, I think if you work I think you should drive the product that you work for and things of that nature, again, to show your buy-in to your commitment to the situation. But, if you work at a BMW store, that doesn't mean you need to go load up on an 8 Series, right? To then get over your head, called getting ahead of your skis, right? You don't need to do that. That's my knee-jerk thing. Where I feel the hypocrisy of saying that is I did that.
Me too.
I mean, I had 2 Beamers. I could only drive one car at a time. I had a convertible. I had a 3. I mean, like it was, and why? Because it was a deal.
Right.
My buddy's like, dude, I can get you a stupid deal on this Z4 right here. I'm like, man, I got this. I mean, I got a 330 already over here. I mean, what do I need? Oh, it's a stupid deal. And I get you under $400 a month on this Z4 convertible. Really? All right, sign up. Now I'm driving right now that was one of my favorite cars in my Z4, but now I've got a Z4 and I've got I've got a 330 BMW. Why? Absolutely no reason. And I'm not making that much. I'm not making $200,000. Right. So there's absolutely no reason to do that. So it's very easy to say, hey, save, don't live above your means, like all the standard stuff, right? Don't live above your means. And not necessarily save, but, invest or whatever. And for most people, like, they're not even thinking about investments, which is fine. But that doesn't mean you have to have burn a hole in your pocket syndrome, right? As soon as you get it, you got to spend it. Oh, now we got to be at the club. Now we got to be out. Now, you're chasing women, you're chasing men,
I'm
whatever.
I'm going to push back on that because I first of all, that's the first time I've ever had a guest or a professional give that disclaimer, and I definitely respect that. But same thing as this is that
this is a hypocrisy.
But so is being a parent. It's fucking totally hypocritical.
Right.
I mean, because we tell our kids, I tell my kids all the time, don't do that shit. Knowing damn well I did worse than they did.
Right, true.
But in some ways, what do we talk about this weekend is that there's a lot of people that look at us because like, oh, snap, that's Moses.
So let me put it this way. Yeah. I wish I had not.
Yes, that's a good
I wish I had not, because my fulfillment, and I remember unique events, right? I remember the first Rolex. I remember why I bought it and what the sentiment was behind it. But I also remember it fading out very quickly and very quickly becoming just a watch.
Right.
I remember some of these purchases or some of the excess that could have gone somewhere else, or, financing something because I really couldn't afford it, financing the watch because I didn't finance the roll. I mean, I bought that stuff, but early on, I remember that, watch plan, 0% interest. So you can have the watch. That's usually a sign you really have no business. Yeah. So I say in reflection, I wish I had not. I think things would have been different. Quickly, there's opportunities I could have probably have taken advantage of that I was not able to because of some of those decisions, because of the car business will do that to you. It's like the first thing you say at like an orientation for somebody. Don't let the car business swallow you up. Right. Don't get into the coffee clutches. You have to, that's the greatest thing to fight. The idea of coming in and doing your job as effectively as possible. Because you're almost like an outlier or an outcast if you come to work.
Absolutely true. But I want to clean this up and frame this here.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing, and I respect this. So people, listen, like, again, we don't want to turn around and be hypocritical. We're not saying do this because, we've seen divine light. We're just saying, look, we've done this shit before. And if we could go back, 15, 20 years ago and say to ourselves, not to you people that are listening to, but to our own selves, we would say, yeah, that shit might look fly, but it might be a little bit better to do this, and this. So that's all we're saying.
Right.
So let's go through this. Let's talk through specifics. So let's start with the appearance. I think in sales, the rules of engagement have always been in car sales to sell yourself, the dealership, and the product. Part of selling yourself is selling the credibility, being professional. Mm-hmm. You could look professional without spending Milan Fashion Week money and stuff.
Right.
So I definitely, it's like, don't be the opposite extreme and just have polos and duct tape shoes. I mean, you got to look nice, but you don't need to overspend and be excessive. There's sales, and I'll just keep it real. There's also like Saks, like office Saks, not the real Saks, but like in off Fifth, right? Yeah. They have like nice Versace.
Got to be your size, though. Got to be your size to get those deals. Right, there's no size 11s at Saks off Fifth that are any good. Right. I can tell you that for sure. Okay.
Size 8, like a size 8.
You can get Ferragamos for $99 if you're a size 6.
James, shout out to James from what was the store we're at this weekend?
Where were we?
Yeah, the shoe guy, James.
Oh, at Saks.
So James, listen, when the brothers come in, just stop at like the off Fifth. You know what I'm saying?
And get the load up on the 8. Yeah.
But there's deals you could get, whether it's that 100%, store or not. That's
100%.
it. There's outlet stores. There's things like that you could get. So that's one thing. Okay. You got some money. What's some things you could invest in? Cardone says this. I've heard you say it. I say it. We're trainers. Like, this is one of the like no-brainers. Invest in yourself. Right. Because that's the sure bet. You know what I mean? If you're investing in real estate, property, all that shit, that's not you. That's you're at the mercy of the market. You're at the mercy of a tenant. You're at the mercy of someone else. Right. The best bet is you, because if you don't feel comfortable investing in yourself, I mean, why the fuck should anybody else invest in you?
Right. And I think there. So the other thing is, I think there's this rush to invest. Right. Like I should not have any money in savings, like whether it should be invested in working for me in some way. Like I shouldn't have $100,000 in savings because I should be in real estate or I should be in some entity. And listen, I'm not an investment expert, right? I'm learning as we go. I'm learning as we go along.
Me too.
We're all trying to figure it out, right? So I'm not coming from a place of a Cardone or whatever. But what I do know is, obviously, people who evangelize about a certain thing really do so also because they're particularly educated or heavily invested themselves in it. Like, it would be completely weird if Cardone like woke up tomorrow and was like, hey, pull all your money in gold.
Right.
Like, it would be weird.
Right.
Like, because no one would expect him to, like, man, you've been beating the drum on real estate for 20 years or whatever it is. So if he was just like, yeah, I had an epiphany, real estate's not the way, everybody should go and go, it would be so inauthentic. Like, this girl.
Like Dale Pollock saying that velocity doesn't work anymore.
Right. Is that what he did?
Yes.
No, okay. So, no, I mean, things can change, but it's more like there was a big controversy. This blogger, she'd been a vegan for 3 years, espousing veganism, and then revealed how like sick and lethargic she was and couldn't figure out what was wrong with her until she started eating ribeyes every day. Like, true story.
Wow.
And she had to, it was big controversy. It made news, like it's still making news. Where she came out and says, I'm eating meat now. After 3 years of promoting veganism, I realized that my vitamins were off. I was lethargic. I was this. I had problems that I wasn't necessarily telling everybody about with my stomach. All this trying to be vegan. And the moment I started eating ribeyes, my skin cleared up. My skin is filling out properly. And now it's a big controversy because she had to, like, you're allowed to change your mind. Like, I don't know what this is in society where you can't have a different viewpoint.
Right.
They came for Kevin Hart because he he spoke out 9 years ago in a tweet. He was homophobic in his messaging.
And Murphy too, same shit.
And 10 years ago, like, I'm not allowed to evolve.
Right.
I'm not allowed to change my mind about something. I believe when Todd Smith, who started Active Engage, co-founded Active Engage, called me up and was telling me about chat and how important it was to be. I'm like, dude, nobody's going to have conversations with you in the computer screen like that and give you their email and cell phone number and all that kind of stuff. I was wrong.
Right.
So, and people have made millions and millions of dollars in the chat business to prove me wrong. So like, am I not allowed to ever change my mind or evolve or take on new information and have a new opinion? That's what scares me about people who will die on that hill. So I know it's easy to get. I don't want to get too far off the rails, but
so the question was is like investing in yourself. That's what it is. Is that educating yourself, like how you put yourself in all this. Like for me, I taught myself website design. I put myself in search engine optimization stuff. I went through Franklin Covey. I went through Toastmasters. I went through the NSA. You know, I'm constantly still like I'm about to turn on something. I'm going to VidCon next year. Like
okay.
I'm all about because I want to. I really love videos, and like these are like totally
Thank you, like videos.
And I got excited about it because like even though they're like everybody there has nothing to do with what I do. Like,
ladies and gentlemen, if you like it, you love it, you want more of it,
a year, like Dan TDM,
then don't wait for the next money show.
I'm investing my
Just go to BradleyOnDemand.com and take your career to the next level.
But these people don't even go to Toastmasters, which would help them on the floor to be better orators and skills. You know, so
why? Because they don't. Nope.
Yeah.
It's a rhetorical question. Because they don't think about the business like a business, right? You wanted me to go. As soon as I said that earlier, you were looking for me to go deeper in that. It all comes back to that. Everything it all comes back to that. When you don't think about it as a business, that drives every decision that you ultimately make, or Jim Rohn, easy to do, not do, every decision you make or don't make.
Strong.
Right?
All right, so now we're gonna close on this because we broke the hour mark, which is fine because I don't mind. I have no time listen. This is my show, whatever. So you now have carved a whole unique niche, which I think is desperately needed. There's so much in automotive, just like in football, like or UFC. Like we were talking, we saw Paul Felder last night. He went from a fighter to now he's on ESPN in front of millions of people as a commentary. You don't have to just stay on the floor. You could transition to management. You could transition to ownership. You could transition to the OEM side. You could transition into the vendor side, or you could transition to an entrepreneur. So this is a chance for you to plug you, but also to give perspective to our listeners here. What if somebody's been thinking about, you know what, man, I think I could do what Sean Brad does, or Cory Mosley does, or Grant Cardone does, you know, and they want to get into that, or they want to go into becoming a vendor, or they want to develop the next, you know, Todd Smith Active Engage, or the next Vin Solutions. What is your recommendation to those people listening?
Well, I think first off, you need to understand what it is that you. For me, it's something called a skill set mindset equation, right? So I want to find the success. I need to understand, like, do I have the right mindset about it? And if I don't, how do I get that? Number two, do I have the skill sets to match what I want to do, right? I want to be an astronaut. I don't have the skill sets to be an astronaut. Now, can I have the right mind? I can't just will myself to do that, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like, you know, Gary Vee talks about you can't read about playing basketball. You have to play basketball to get better. You actually have, you can't read about, you can't watch a YouTube video about how to shoot from the free throw line and just get better at it, right? You literally have to take free throw shots.
Right.
So I can't will myself thin. I have to take the steps of stop eating X and start doing Y.
Like that chocolate caramel cake shit.
You had that. That wasn't my thing.
Delicious.
But yeah, so you have to you have to do that. And you have to ask yourself, like I had this conversation with a guy. He's like, I want to be a trainer. I said, he's like, I want to have my own business. I want to have my own training business. Okay. And as I talked to him, you know, one of the questions I posed to him was, let me ask you a question. Is it that you just love training, or that you truly want to have your own business? Because see, if you love the idea of training, then go find a training company to work for and be a trainer for the company, right? Go be a Vin Solutions trainer. Go work for Skill Pass seminars. You can go around the country, you know, delivering their classes and doing training. Then you don't have to worry about the lights and how you're going to pay bills, how you're going to insure the business, you know, how you're going to deal with taxes and audits, and you know what happens if you get sued, and you don't have to, you know, deal with that stuff. Products and services, profit and loss, COGS, and all this terminology. So you have to. There's this false sense that the only path to success is to have your own thing, and it's just not true. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money working for other people.
You know, I'm going to shout out Jared Glant from like Cardone. Dude, are you kidding me? Like, shout out to Jared. I mean, like, again, it's Cardone Enterprises, but my man he's got the keys to the kingdom, and he's balling. If he's not a millionaire now, he's definitely a millionaire.
For
yeah,
sure.
I was gonna say.
So and again, what does that mean to other people? I talked to a guy who said he made $60,000 last year. He said, Corey, my main, yes, having $1 million business would be great, but you know what? Before I have $1 million business, I'd like to have a $200,000 a year business. Right now, I have a $61,000 a year business. So if I can have $120,000 next year, then that is the path. I'm not necessarily looking to get from 60 to $1 million, right? He may not want to do what it's going to take to do that. That may not be his ambition, right? I can't give you your ambition, right? You get to make that decision step one, right? You get to decide what that's going to look like, what your vision, what your perfect situation looks like. And then you start to figure out how to do it. No different than when you start getting into your money mind map and you start getting into how to, right? I want to sell 30 cars. Now then you back in, right? Reverse engineer. How do you get that outcome? Well, it's going to take this many ups and this many phone calls and this many that, right? It's the same thing here. So, hey, you know what? I want to build a business. What are my primary concerns? I work with people in my coaching program that their goal is they don't want to be on the road, right? So they want to build their business, but they want to build their business in a 25-mile radius because they need to drop their kid off at 8 a.m. and they want to be there at 3:30 when the bus stop to get their kid. Mm-hmm. So that may mean they don't get $1 million business because that may require them to be all over 50 states doing business. So that may mean they get a $250,000 business. Where they can, depending on how they handle their expenses, where they can have a 6-figure income and have a dual income household and live in the type of house they want, live in this, right? And that be how it's designing your life. Right. Right. Now, if Armageddon comes, 250 might not get it done, right? You might, but then you change your target and you can 10X and all this other stuff, right? If you're into that, right? So, But that becomes the idea. I need to set the tone of what it is I want to do. It can't just be generic. It can't be, I'd like to have my own business. Or Corey, I like to be, let's apply it here. I'd like to be Alley Raider. I like to have 100 cars. I like to be doing 100 cars a month or whatever it is, right? It's not, okay. Now it's Kanye Houseway, right? It's that piece of now backing into how do you execute that strategy? Right? How do I make intelligent decisions? 2 types of people. Hey, Sean, the stove's hot. Don't touch the stove. Hey, thanks, Corey, for giving me that information. I'm not going to burn myself in the stove because you told me it's hot. Then it's, oh, the stove's hot? Let me check it out. Oh, goddamn, that stove is hot. You got damn out of me. Oh, man, that stove is hot as hell. Right? Wow, I told you it was hot. Yeah, you did. But, man, I just had to find out for myself. And you decide what kind of person you want to be. I like people telling me things in advance that I can skip or shortcut or not go down a path of pain. And social media allows us to watch this. I watch so many people going on their own now and, because they're documenting it on social media. And I watch all these mistakes that they're making and I replays in my head. And depending on who they are, I realize, that's going to be a person that you can't help. This is going to have to be their process. They're going to have to go through all these hits, lose this money, waste time on this, waste time on that. That will be their only way to actually evolve. You're not going to be able to help them in that way. So my message, here, because you've got a wide variety of people that listen, but my message here is get in decision-making mode. Decide where you are now. Decide where you want to be. What does the ideal scenario? No different than we ask a client. I'll ask a car dealer, right? What is success for you? Like I got visions. You're selling 30 a month. I got visions that you could be doing 200 a month. Your visions are 75. Right. So I'm not gonna make you take my vision. I want to craft a strategy that meets your vision. Now, if we exceed it, great. I'm a winner, right? But I need to understand if you're listening to this right now and you're not making the money you want to make, you're not selling the cars you want, you're not making the many appointments, depending on, what part of not writing enough ROs. I mean, you have all these different people that participate here. You're a GSM that's looking for a GM spot and you're not getting it. Nobody's looking at you. You're boxed in, You have to decide what it is, what's lacking, if anything. Right? You may be in a good place, right? What it is that you want to go after. And then what are the combinations of sacrifices that you may have to make short term or long term to do that. Is the juice worth the squeeze? People talk about ROI. I talk about ROE. What's the return on my energy? Right? Am I going to get what is the return on energy? Listen, it's entrepreneurship's your thing. Yes, I mean, Sean talked about my book, Entrepreneurship Confidential, has been doing really well. Strategies and real talk for first-time entrepreneurs. Simple enough, entrepreneurshipconfidential.com. I think I want to make Sean buy like 1,000 copies or something like that. See if I can close. Let me get my Stripe out. And where's my swipe card out? I'm going to try to clean my inventory out. But go to entrepreneurshipconfidential.com.
I'm going to cop some copies for you people, man. And I'm going to start giving some out for free for you, but I'm going to pay for some. All right? I don't know about 1,000, but I'm going to get some.
All right. Well, listen, some is better than none.
Word.
Right. So we're beyond zero.
Yes, we are.
That was the point.
There we go.
Closed them. So listen, that's my Tuesday. Entrepreneurshipconfidential.com. You learn more about the book. I go into the book. I dive into things like dealing with friends and family. I mean, car business, 3 Ds, drinking, drugs, divorce. So I want to keep you from, it's not a car business book. It's an entrepreneurship book, but the principles and the things that we're talking about are the same. Dealing with family, dealing with friends, what are some things you need to be doing from a marketing standpoint? Because, this is the opportunity. Regret, dude, weighs tons.
Yes.
Regret weighs tons. Okay? You have two types, Jim Rohn talks about 2 types of pain in this world. You have the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons.
Oh. Well, listen, Corey, this has been an awesome interview with you. Again, thank you for coming back. And I'm definitely going to pre-sell you for season 3, which is going to be next year. But much love, brother. Come on. They can't see it, but there we go.
Always, man.
All right. Actually, I lied. We're going to get into overtime right now because I'm taking advantage of this. Okay, because we got to I'm going to vent. And I know that you're a little more polished than I am.
We're going to overtime.
You ever watch? You know, one of my favorite people is on Shade 45.
Go ahead.
Is Sway in the Morning,
yeah,
right? The hyenas, right?
Yeah.
When real lyricists come out and they spit that, he's like, "You bitch ass rappers out there that got no bars, you're on notice." And I want to just turn around and just say, for all these fake ass Facebook frauds out there, I got a public service announcement. And we're not mentioning any names because they know who they are, right? People, for example, that they lost their entire training business and now they're online saying stuff like, you know what, I got an epiphany that I need to downsize for my super duper car into like a 2004 wagon and shit. You know what I mean?
The views of Sean V. Bradley are not the views of Cory Mosley.
No,
go ahead.
But this part is Cory Mosley because you said this. You know what I mean? Not about anybody in particular, but I want you to articulate because I want them to hear from you because I don't want to misrepresent what you're saying. What did you say before about how people that are not taking the full risk, they're working at dealerships, but yet they're running around acting like trainers and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not mentioning names, but they're running around on, giving advice to people about how to be, an entrepreneur in business, what have you, but they're not even an entrepreneur business. They're getting their main check from the main dealership, right or wrong?
No, I think what I said really was, because way off of context as you've interpreted it. I think that social media and the whole social environment we have allows people the cover of waxing poetic on different things and different topics. But many of those people don't have to pay the price. They don't have to pay the price of their advice, right? Well, that's good. I have to write that down. That just flowed out. But they don't necessarily have to pay the price of their advice, right? So, you have this opportunity to when I work with business owners, I'm working in the capacity where I completely understand what their situation is, what they're doing. And if we're talking about strategy or technique, well, it's probably something I've executed, again, whether very well or very poorly, because, there's certainly probably more losses than wins in the grand scheme of things. But, you only have to win once, right? So I think that was more the overriding, point that we were having just as a general conversation was it's like anything. It's very easy to pass judgment. It's very easy to have an opinion about something. It's very easy. Social media is very cathartic for a lot of people. I mean, they use it as counseling, which is your right. It's not my deal, but it's very easy, again, to just have an opinion or, and for me, there's so many people that are false. What's the good word? So many people are they get on and they're shining, but they're dealing with a lot of pain in private, or they're it's kind of this dual worlds.
I just think it's really disgusting that there's people out there that are just straight frauding. They're showing,
I mean, I don't know. How do you define that? Like what? Like when you say that, what do you mean?
Here, I'll be specific. Okay, there's people matter of fact, there's people like, you ever heard that song "Stand" from Eminem? That's all I'm going to say. That's for the people who know I'm talking about, right? There's people like that are out there that are basically like a paycheck away from being homeless or selling their ass in Atlantic City on the Point. You know what I mean, for rent. They're straight up, but yet they're online pretending that they're successful, using words like "my clients." You don't have any clients, dude. You work at a dealership, or you're a part-time delivery person for Domino's Pizza. Word is born. This actually happened. You're a part-time delivery person at Domino's, but yet you're in your living room with a suit that's 10 times the size for your body, and that's saying a lot right there, giving fake advice. And then there's people out there, brother, that are listening to this shit like, damn, that's good, that's delicious, that's great. Man, Corey, we'll edit this out, all right? This is I will edit this out if you don't approve this, so don't worry, all right? But I'm just saying, like, you asked me, you're the one who stood me up, you said, well, what do you mean? Well, that's exactly what the fuck I mean. There's people out there, and what's bad is that there's dealerships that's desperate for information, and because their real people are not online at that minute where he live streams or she live streams, they're like, oh shit, that might be real. And then they take it, and then they're worse off than what they were before. And to your point, if you're getting your tip money from Domino's Pizza or whatever it is, or you're getting your paycheck from being like a badass BDC director, you at least got something, you know what I mean? Where there's other people that this is their full-time job. Did I answer your question?
Right. I think that social media provides a method for people to talk about anything they want from whatever level of authority that they want.
Or pretend to be.
Or whatever. But it allows them to do that. And some people get sucked into it. Some people get sucked into the allure of it, where you create these tribes of people who become apocalyptes, who and evangelists for you that feed the beast. Yeah, you tell them, that's great. So a lot of people, what's interesting is you can reach people in different ways. So different people, based on their story, their situations, can have an impact on people. So there's somebody out there who, is delivering good information, and you can deliver good information without over presenting yourself. To be that would be like, could I have an intelligent conversation with you about real estate right now? I 100% can. The problem is it being authentic, because I'm not really invested in real estate right now. But I could deliver information that could reach and help somebody. Now, then that would be perfectly fine. Now, what would be wrong is me going, well, with all of my properties, this is how I handle my properties, and I don't have any properties.
Exactly.
Right? That is part of.
What's even worse than that is saying, I am the Grant Cardone of real estate. I am this big real estate trainer consultant, but you're fucking delivering pizzas at Domino's, and you're working at Century 21.
Well, you can have a side gig.
But then say that, though. Then say that this is a hobby of mine, that I think I give you some advice, not that I'm the authority of this stuff.
Right. Narrative is, well, certainly anybody coming from the car business, this is the only industry where everybody can be number one and nobody has to prove it. Right. Going westbound, the Honda dealership A is number one, and going eastbound, his competitor is number one. They both have banners up, and nobody's, if Pepsi ran an ad that said more people in Richmond, Virginia drink Pepsi than Coke, and they didn't have the data to back it up, Coke would be suing their ass off. Right. But not in the car business. So the egos, bravado, all the things that go around, everybody's number one this, the number one that, and I don't know how you quantify that. And listen, some of these people are my friends that I like and respect in certain ways, but even they get caught up.
Not mine.
Even when, and that list is short, but even they get caught up, in it sometimes. And again, everybody has to. It's the old Verdi Cardone thing. right? Verdi built a successful. I don't think anybody can argue with Verdi making money, changing lives. There are people who swear by his stuff, right? He did it differently than how Cardone did it, and there are people who appreciate that. People don't like that, don't like that, whatever. But I think it's hard to argue with the competency of the information.
Right.
You can debate the delivery. You can debate, what happened to that dealership he had that, why? Like, the number one causes of accidents on the interstate, right? Mm-hmm. Rubbernecking. It's not people speeding or drunk driving. It's people rubbernecking, looking at other accidents, causing accidents. That's what they say is the number one cause of accidents is someone looking at another accident.
That's crazy.
Because that's what we love. That's why reality TV is on. We love to see train wrecks. We love to look at somebody's situation and go, I'm glad that's not me.
Speaking of train wrecks, my last question, and I promise.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you feel about people, like this is about the same subject, that are running around saying this and that, like giving advice, but if we don't do that, if we're not in the dealership taking ups and doing stuff like that, we're not as real as those people. Now, I do both. I'm in the dealerships all the time live streaming, but there's a lot of my business that doesn't involve me personally being inside the dealership, whether it's my staff or it's behind the scenes from the CRM, the business model. We talked about this in the past, and I think there's such a big difference of like, that's great, boo-boo, that you sold 30 cars or 40 cars this month, but have you ever closed a manufacturer for millions of dollars? You know what I mean? So there's different levels to this shit. Talk about that as far as information and where you get the information, because, again, there's levels to this shit.
Right. I think it's all about heavy is the head that wears the crown.
How do you remember all these little phrases, bro? Like shit, I got to write these down.
I think it's all about perspective of where people are. I've watched all these, let's shoot it out on the lot and let's, see who closes the most deal in the lot. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing to me, personally.
Right.
And it's not a shot at anybody because, that's not me. I don't get involved in that kind of online drama with people, but I just think that kind of stuff is ridiculous because it has no correlation to a person's skill set or how they do. The streets are paved with talented individuals who knew great word tracks and were great closers and, had all this personality who in their personal lives are train wrecks. Right. Oh, great. You're closing $20,000 grosses at the dealership and your kids hate you.
Right.
And, your wife wants to leave you.
Or she did.
Or she did. Right. So I don't know, or you're self-medicating after you get off. You have to hit the bar before you go home. And I'm not passing judgment. I'm just making the point. So you're dominant in this one area, but what does that mean? Like if me and Dawson and Kay, if we all challenged each other and we were Suzuki and we call whoever up, Joe Webb, we're going to go work in a dealership for a month and work internet and see who's the greatest internet closer to ever live. Like, dude, what does that actually, I don't know what that means. And how does that make your impact? You do things completely different than, we all have the same goal.
Right.
So, and I don't have to, and that's the interesting thing. As people who've basically, at least for the first 10 years, were pretty much in the same genre of business, right? I never had to say anything bad about you or your approach or whatever to do a deal. I don't think I never had to say anything about David Kane. Like, I never had to get into that. Like, I didn't have to show how I'm better. I have a way of doing things that is effective. Anybody who's been around 15 years, number one, has some way of doing things that is effective. So you have a way of doing things effective. And Joe Webb has a way of doing things. And Jim Suzuki, some of our contemporaries that came up with us, have a way of doing things that's effective. We may do things differently. You may go a step further than I do. I may do something in this direction. I focus on strategy. I'm not even a trainer. I don't even identify with that. I conduct training to execute a
I'm
strategy.
so sorry. I just love this. I identify as a strategist. I like that.
Right. Well, that's what I do.
But I like the whole identify thing. I think just like with
Like gender identity. Yeah. I mean, but that's the whole thing. Like, one of the best trainers in the game. I appreciate all that, but I think there are people who do a better job training than I do. From a functional level of what we believe training to be, right? Concepts, execution of concepts, activities, exercises, implementation, redundancies. I think there are people who are laser sharp at that cannot do what I do,
right?
Which is take a large problem and then create a strategy to solve the whole problem. Right?
I like that.
I want to fix the body. Like there are people, right? That's why there are specialties, right? There's generalists and then there's orthopedic surgeons. Right. There's a dentist and then there's an orthodontist or an endodontist. There's just different specialties, right? So there are people who can my dentist yank teeth out of my mouth? Yes, he could. But there's another guy who specializes in that. So other things don't happen or aren't affected, right? I want to heal the whole body. There are guys who are really good with healing the arm. So my position there is that we all double down on your gifts, right? I never wanted to figure out how to be an accountant, right? I know how to log into my stuff. I understand P&Ls. I understand cost of goods sold. I understand profit margins, right? But I have no interest in being a CPA, right? I want to double down on what I'm good at, right? God gave me above average oratory skills that I have worked on my whole career and worked to get better at, to be a better communicator. God gave me some abilities to look at problems and program my mind in a way that can arrive at a solution and do it pretty rapidly. I'm known for rapidly.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Okay, sorry. I'm known for rapidly being able to rapidly break down a situation and come up with a solution. And then I've learned how to hone that skill. So I can be very good at that. That's why people who coach with me love to coach with me, that they talk about it in a way. They call me Mr. Breakthrough and these little things that are cute, but that's a skill.
Can I call you Mr. Breakthrough?
And I do that better than you do that.
It's okay.
And there are things that you do better than me.
Like what?
Right? I think breaking down, I think when I watch you break down a process or go really deep in an area, because I'm a 30-foot view guy. Because again, I'm about the strategy. Not that you're not about strategy, but I'm saying I think the tactical things where I'll watch you go 6 or 7 layers deeper, in something. Or just kind of really drilling down on that knowledge base. And I think those are things that really...
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think those are skill sets and skills that people hone and they work on, but they focus on that. And that's where I think this all goes, doubling down on your skill set. It's like I said, if you're not a natural X, I mean, there's certain things you may need to get. If you say you want to be a public speaker or professional speaker, then yes, you're going to have to go to Toastmasters and join an SA and speak and learn to get better and work on the technical. There's people that can talk. That doesn't make them a good speaker.
Exactly.
I said, if somebody leaves a presentation that you give and they're like, oh, that was just good information, you fail. Right? I want people talking about something I said. A guy sent me a message. He said, I heard you 4 years ago and there were 20 people there. And the only person I really paid attention to was you. I even recorded it. Just yours. I didn't record anybody else. I recorded what you had to say. It was so impactful to me. That's where I did a good job.
That's what's up.
Not just, hey, you were good information. So you care about your craft. If you're a salesperson, care about your craft. You're a sales manager, care about your craft. You're a BDC rep, care about your craft. If you're in charge of people in a management capacity, internet manager, director, care about your craft. And if there's something you want to aspire to, I'm a salesperson right now, but I'd love to get in that sales manager seat, care about your craft.
And we could make 2 episodes out of this shit today.
Yeah.
Listen, Corey, again, I can stay here forever, but I know you're going to boot me out of your house. So listen, it was thank you and your wife.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here.
Thank you for hosting us for the weekend. It was great. And also, getting the opportunity to speak to somebody that's got, you said, 15 years as an entrepreneur and as a pioneer in the automotive industry.
Well, no, I've been an entrepreneur since 14.
But okay, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Okay, but
It was Hope and Soap, Amway.
Yeah.
I was at a rally at 14. Richmond Coliseum. Go,
When did you
Diamond, double diamond, go Eagle,
when did you
Ruby.
When did you incorporate Mosley Automotive for Mosley Training? Like when was
15 years ago.
What year?
04.
Yeah, same thing. What month? Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out.
May.
May?
Yeah.
That's crazy. April 13th is when we incorporated. So
yeah.
we're literally like probably less than a month before you.
Yeah, it's funny.
That is crazy. So we're going on out 15 years, bro. This is 16 years. 2020, 16 years.
It's crazy to be here. It's been interesting.
All right, cool. Well, listen, this is really it. That was it. I know you had to, stop before, but we're gonna let this ride out to 1.5 hours. We've been doing this.
Yeah, interesting.
1 hour and 30 minutes.
It'll be edited down to 45 minutes of stuff I'll let you actually play.
The face. If this was on video, when I went into those questions, you're like, oh boy, what are you getting me into now? But look, it was good. All right, and that's 1 minute and 30 right there. So thank you, Corey. I appreciate you.
1 hour and 30.
There we go. We're out. I got to just quit it. There we go.